What's up, you data friends? It's Yanis here and welcome to my channel. Now please note that this video is actually video part 3 of the SQL tutorial for data analysts and data scientists. In video part 1, we have explained how to download and install SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio, how to create a database. We went through how to load the raw data programmatically. We went through the select query, how to filter with multiple conditions, how to write subqueries, how to write if and case statements, how to rename, update, replace, insert into, delete, and create new columns, and also how to use aggregated functions like sum, average, mean, max, and count. In this tutorial, we're going to go over the joins. So we're going to go over the left join. We're going to explain how it works, the inner join, the full join, the cross join, and the union. And then we're going to head over into SQL and try to create examples for all those joins so you gain a better understanding. I'm going to have the links of the previous videos in the video description, so you can go and check them out, or you can just start from this one and try to understand the joins. And before we start this tutorial, let me just say that if you're passionate about data analytics and data science, then please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Right, heading over to the joins here so we can explain them. We basically use joins in data analytics and data science when we want to combine two or more data sets. And when I say combine, is when we want to bring new columns into our table. So in this example I have over here, we have two tables, table A and table B. In table A, we have 4 columns, date, visitors, and revenue. And in table B, which is this one over here, we have 3 columns, date, marketing spend, and the promotion. And our objective is to combine these two tables together into a new table, which is this one, that has data from both tables. So depending on the type of join you are going to use, you're going to get different results in your output table. Starting with the left join, first of all, we need a key. And in this case, our key is going to be date. Key is a column that exists on both tables. It doesn't have to be the same name, but it needs to have the same values, as in dates or promotions or categories that can match from table A to table B. So in our case, date is the key for both tables because it exists on both tables, and it's going to be the column we're going to use to match the tables. So in a left join, always the first table, table A, the left table that we start from, is going to maintain all of its rows into the output table. So what this means is that if I do a left join between these two tables and a join on date, then every single row that exists in table A is automatically going to go in table B. So it's like a copy of this, a paste of this over here. So we have day visitors revenue, day visitors revenue. It's like a copy paste directly when we use a left join. And then the rest of the columns will come from table B. So the first example is that we start with the 1st of Feb 2023. We look if we have a match over here. We don't. As you can see, we don't have data for the 1st of February. We only have for the 2nd. So this row is automatically going to go here because it's a left join, and it's going to have 0 and 0 because we didn't match with anything. So you can see it over here. The next row, which is the Tuesday 02/02/23, you can see that it does have a match with this one. So we're going to start with these 3 columns, and we're going to continue with these 2 values, which is this value and this value, because we've matched. And it's the same case with any date that matches. So the 3rd matches, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, The 7th though, it's missing. So the 7th is still going to go into our output table because we use a left join, and everything from table A is going to stay in table B. But for marketing, spend, and promo, we're going to have zeros. Additionally, we have other dates in table B, like the 30th or the 31st of Jan, or these dates down here, that exist in table B, but they don't exist in table A. And because we use a left join, we don't care. Anything that doesn't exist in table A is not going to be in our output table. So we start with 7 rows, we stay with 7 rows, we use a left join, and we only join whatever exists in table A. And just to go through these few notes down here, all rows from table A will exist in the output table. We said that. Not all rows from table B will exist in the output table, only the matching ones. We said that. Table A and the output table should have the same number of rows. If you have more, which can happen, it means you have duplication, so you're going to need to check it out. And if the final output table does not have, it's exactly what I just said. If you have more, then you're probably double matching and you need to check that. Right, moving on, we have the inner join. So the difference between the left join and the inner join is that when we use an inner join to join these two tables, the output table is only going to have data for the matching rows. So we start with the first row, we don't have a match, so we are not going to include it. We start with the second one, we have a match, we are going to include it. We go over the third one, we have a match, so we are going to include it. Then we go to this last one, we don't have a match, we are not going to include it. Then we go to the 30th, which doesn't exist in table A. It doesn't have a match, so it's not going to be included. Same with the 31st, same with the 9th and the 11th. So when we use an inner join is when we want to only include data that exists on both table A and table B. Right, moving on to the full join now. When we use a full join is when we want to use all the data from table A and all the data from table B, regardless if they match or not. For example, we start with the first row. We don't have a match for 01, 02, 23. However, it's going to go in the final table like we have in a left join. However, before this one, you see that we also have data in table B, the 30th and the 31st, that doesn't exist in table A. Still don't care. If we use a full join, we are going to include all the data. Hence, these two values go over here and these two values go over here. So no data from table A, but data from table B. Same case with this one over here. No data from table B, but data from table A. These ones are the matching ones, all these rows over here. This one, it exists on A, not on B. These ones, they exist on B, not on A. So know that when you want to include all data from table A and table B, you need to use a full join. Right, moving on to the cross join now. A cross join does not require any key because it simply matches everything with everything. So it's going to get this first row, it's going to duplicate it by the number of rows you have from table B. In our case, 6. It's going to create 6 rows with this first date, as you see over here, and it's going to cross join these 3 values with every single value you see over here. So these values stay the same, so you can see there is duplication, but in a cross join, we are going to use all these values for each one of the rows we have from table A. Same case with the second one, same with the third, same with the fourth. It matches everything with everything. And the total number of rows in the output table should be the number of rows from table A times the number of tables from table B, which is what I have down here. And the last thing we have, which is not a join, is actually a union, but it's something we do use when we want to combine two tables or more together, but not by adding new columns, by combining the two tables together. So the idea here is that you have table A and table B that have the same number of columns with the same column types. And if you want to combine these two together, you can actually use a union. When you do use this union all the rows from table A are going to go in the output table, and all the rows from table B are going to go in the output table. The difference is that you're combining them this way and not by adding new columns as you do it in the joins. Right, so now we've explained some of the theory, we can start applying it. So we're going to go back into SQL, and under joins and unions, we have our first example, which is going to be a left join. So the first step we need to do is that we need to select the columns we need from the two or more tables we are going to join. So for our example, we have table A, which is the football data we have been using for the last two videos, and also the countries data, which has demographic data per country. The question is that show the total home score and GDP per capita for home team. So I'm going to start by doing exactly what we have in this step over here. I want to select the columns we need from the two tables. So down here, I'm going to say select home team. Then we want to sum the home score. And we want to name this as total. It's not total, it's actually home. Let's do home score total from the name of the table, which is this one over here. I also want to filter out the tournament to be FIFA World Cup. And then I also want to group by, because I do have an aggregated function, and I need to group it by this home team over here. So if I run this quickly, near home team, group by home, I'm missing the by, sorry. So if I run this, we have the home team and the home score total from our table A. And then we also need the GDP per capita per home team or country. So this is going to come from our B. So down here, I'm going to write select country, comma, sum. I don't need to sum the GDP per capita though, because it's already summed. So I'm going to copy this and paste it and say from, and then the name of our table, and then this is the column I need from table B. So I actually need one column from table A and one column from table B. The next step now is that I need to identify the columns that are identical in each table so I can use it to join them. So this is the key. I need to identify the key that I'm going to join these two tables together. And in our case, it's actually the country. And the last thing is that we need to specify on top which columns we need from each table. So let's do the join first, and then we can do this step over here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use brackets. I'm going to close this first line of code. I'm going to name it as A. Then I'm going to name this second one as B. So take it as this is table A and this is table B. Then I'm going to type here left join, because we are going to use a left join. I want this GDP per capita to join on this, on this table over here. So I want a new column here, which is going to be the GDP per capita. I'm going to say left join. Down here, I need to specify the key. So I'm going to say on A dot home team, which is the country, equals B dot B here dot country. And the last thing I need to do, I'm going to push this by using tab. So it's going to go in at the top. This is actually the third step. I'm going to say select a.home team because I do want to use a.home team, and this is actually a.date. So this is the A, which is going to stay, comma, a.home score total, comma, b.GDP per capita. Then I need to say from, and this from is going to look into A, it's going to look into B, it's going to match them, and it's going to return these three columns. So if I run this quickly, you can see that Algeria has a GDP per capita of $6,000. Angola has a GDP per capita of 1,900. So now we've successfully combined table A and table B together. Moving on, the next question we have, if I copy this and paste it down here, is pretty much the same as the one above, but this time we also want to bring in region. And region actually exists in table B, which is this region over here. To do this now, I'm going to copy this and paste it down here, and simply we can add region in our B table because we want to use it. So we can say what's going on, region, comma, and then there's comma, this one over here. So now we have selected the columns we need from table B. Table A columns are still the same, but now I also need to bring in region up here at the top, because yes, I have added it here in B, but I'm not actually calling region when it comes to selecting the columns we need. So after home team, I'm going to type in b.region, then say comma, and then if we run this, we have home team coming from A, region coming from B, home score total coming from A, and then GDP per capita coming from B. And as you can see, Bosnia and Herzegovina doesn't have a region and also doesn't have a GDP per capita. Same with China PP, same with all these nulls. So what this means is that what we've explained before, that these rows exist in table A, but they don't exist in table B. So they have all these null values. Moving on, the next question we have, let me copy it quickly, example 3, is that we want to see the total home score per region. So this is the region and we want to sum the total home score per region. To do this, I'm going to copy this query above here. We need to apply another aggregation after the join because the home score does not exist in countries, which is the region we want to aggregate by. We want to first join them, so exactly as we join them, and then we want to aggregate the data, so sum the data by region. So what I need to do now is that I need to remove this home team because I want to see the data by region. I want to sum again this home score. So here I'm going to say sum a.home score total, and then I'm going to give it the same name. And I also want to remove the GDP per capita because I don't need it now. All I want to have is the total home score, the home score total per region. So if I run this now, it's actually going to fail because if you remember, every time we use an aggregated function, we have to use a group by. So if I run it, you see it gives us the error. So now I have to come down here and say group by the B region, because remember we need to use every column we have apart from the aggregated ones. And if I run this now, it returns the data, and this is the total home score goals per region. Actually, I can also exclude this null region, so I can say select all from, then where I can actually do this B region is not null, so is not null, so this is going to exclude this null one. And also I want to use an order by this sum, and let's say descending. So this is going to order the data from highest to lowest. So if I run this, you can see we don't have the null anymore, and then Western Europe is the region that scored the most home goals for FIFA World Cup, followed by Latin America and then Eastern Europe countries. Right, moving on, the next thing we have is the full joins. So I'm going to copy this, then I'm going to paste it over here. To experiment now with the full joins, I'm going to copy what we have above here, the first left join we've done, and we are going to use a full join instead of a left join. So here I'm going to say full, and then when we run this quickly, we're going to try and notice the differences. So if I make this bigger, so what we see here is that we have a lot of null values for home team and home score, which comes from table A, home team and home score, but we have data coming from table B. And if you remember here in the full joins, we said that everything from table A and everything from table B will be included in the final table. So this is an example like these two first rows, where we don't have any data from table A, but we have data from table B. So to make the data more visible and easier to understand, I'm also going to bring in the B country. So A, and then here I can also do B dot B country, and then comma, and then make this lowercase, so we can visualize which country has 700 GDP per capita. So if I run this now, you can see that everything from table B is visual, and everything from table A is also visual in our output table. To make this look nicer now, we want to combine this home team with this country in order to have one column that says if it exists in table A, take it. If not, take it from table B. To do this, I'm going to type in here is null, and then into is null, I'm going to put our A home team and also our B country. And then I'm going to name this as, what do I have the name? As country com, which is the combined countries. If I run this now, this new column I've created, you can see it looks into home team, it doesn't have anything, then it looks into country, it sees Afghanistan, so it takes this as a country. Same case with the second row, Albania, but then Algeria, because it exists on home team, it takes it from A. Same with Angola. So now we can remove this home team and this country and leave this combined column. And to do this, I'm going to copy all of this. Actually, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to paste it here under A, paste. And I'm also going to remove this B country, and then I'm going to run it again. So now we have the combined country, and then we have the home score and the GDP per capita. We are using a full join now, so everything from A and everything from B are going to be shown. And the next thing I want to do is that I want to use this is null for these two columns and say if the home score total is null, then put 0. Otherwise, leave it as is. So I'm going to put enter, and I'm going to say is null, open brackets, comma, and then 0, close it, then is null, open brackets, comma, 0, close it, and here I'm going to say as this is, this is going to be the home score total, and then this one is going to be the GDP per capita, a comma, and then if we run this again, you can see we've managed to fix this table. So for example, for Czechoslovakia, we have data from table A, and we don't have GDP per capita from table B. For Czech Republic though, we have data from table B and no data from table A. So you get the idea here. If we want to use everything from both tables, table A and table B, we need to use a full join, because before, when we had the left join at the top, only data that existed in A table was always included. Anything that didn't exist in A and it existed in B, it was not included when using a left join. And just to count the rows quickly, table A, just to show you how it works, it has 78 rows, so 78 rows. Then table B has, if we run this, 227. The whole left join we've done before, so exactly the same query but using a left join. If we run it together, it has 78 rows. So let's make the note. The left join had 78 rows, which is what we said before. Everything from table A will stay in the output table as we have for left join. So it's exactly what happened with our left join at the top. However, in our full join, if we run all of it, we have a total of 241 rows. So if I type in the full join, 221 rows. And this is because it combined data from both A and B. So any data that didn't exist in A is also going to be included. Any data that didn't exist in B is also going to be included. So we ended up with 241 rows. Now moving on, we want to do the same thing, but instead of running a full join now, we are going to run an inner join. So I copy the same query as we had at the top, this query. Actually, let me copy it so you can see exactly the changes. I paste it here, and then instead of having a left join, I'm going to type in inner join. Do I have a sum? No, I don't. I have these three. So if I run this now, actually let's add the rows. So 78 rows. So you see what's going on. 227 for B. And if we run this now, we see a total of 64 rows. So if we copy this, so we can explain the differences. Here we have the inner join. Let's use capital. So this is inner join. This is the left join. Now we have 64 rows. Right, why do we only have 64 rows? Because what we said in the inner joins, if we go over here, is that this inner join is only going to match anything that exists on both tables. So if from A it doesn't exist in B, we are going to exclude it. If from B it doesn't exist in A, our key doesn't exist, then we are going to exclude it. This is why we end up with less rows, so less results when we use an inner join. It's exactly the same query, but instead of using a left join or a full join, I'm using an inner join, and I do get different results. As you can see here, I only get data that have numbers from both A and B, which means they match. If they didn't match, then it was going to be excluded. Right, moving on, the last thing we have now is the cross join. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it, and I'm actually going to copy the same query so we can experiment again. We have all of this, 78, 224, and the only thing we are going to change now is over here. We are going to have a cross join, and remember, in a cross join, which is this one, which matches everything with everything, we are not going to need a key. So if we go back, we need to delete this key. We can comment it out. And then when we run our cross join, we can see we get these results, loads of duplication. We actually need to bring in the B country because it's going to be more helpful to understand this. So B country, comma. And then if we run this again, we can see that we got the first value, which is Algeria, and we've tried to match it, if we go over here in our cross join, with every single row from table B. So we have matched Algeria, which comes from table A, 227 times. So if we scroll down in the number of rows, under 227, it's where we need to be changing a different country. So you can see 227, and then 228, actually the next one, goes from Algeria to Angola. And it's going to repeat this again 227 times. And in our cross join, in terms of the number of rows, if we add them quickly, so we have 17,706. The way we got this number of rows is, as we said, we need to times the rows from table A with the rows from table B. So 4 times 6. In our example, it's going to be 78. So let's type it down. 78 times 227. So if we do the math, just to see if our cross join work correctly, if we go into the calculator and we do 78 times 227, we get 17,706, which is the results from our cross join. Right, moving on, the last thing we have now is the unions. And let me quickly copy it. So we need to show an example of a union. And in order to do this, I'm going to bring some additional data into the database. And this is because we have data for football for up until 2020. Let's say we got new data for 2021, which is data that's in here. I'm going to have it in the link in the video description. Let's say we got new data and we want to take this new data and input it, so actually union it with the previous data. So both of them have exactly the same columns and column names and column numbers and column types. We just want to do a union as we have explained it over here. To do this, first we're going to bring in the new data. So I'm going to copy this and paste it quickly so you can see it. So paste. As we said in the first video, first we define all the columns and their types. We've done this in video part 1. Then we specify the location, the name of the file, and then if we run this quickly, so over here, we got a new table, and then if we select our table A, which is data up until 2020, so what we have been using up until now, it has 42,000 rows. And then this new data we are going to union into table A has 1,078 rows. So this is new data. And the way to union them together, this is actually super easy, is select everything from, and then the name of our table A, union all, and then select everything from our table B. So if I run this, we get a total of, let's type it in, so this is total of 43,081 rows, which is actually adding these rows with these rows over here. And the last thing I have is that if we want to take this data, so this union we've just created, and save it into our database, so we can then link it with our BI tool and then provide the data to the business, we can actually create a view. And to create a view, all we have to do is say create view, name this view, just to show you I don't have any views in the system yet, so you can see no views in the database. So if I say create view, the name of the view, so I'm going to name this view 2020 and 2021 data as, and then I have this union, I'm actually going to create a view. What does it say? There is already, am I in the wrong database? Yes, I am. SQL and then execute, invalid, it doesn't have, oh, it's because I didn't insert this table here. Give me a sec. There we go. And then if I run this, there we go. So now I have a new view. If I refresh this SQL tutorial database, refresh, if I check under views, I have a new view and I can actually query this view. And if I select everything from this view, 2020 and 2021, you can see I have all the combined data from 2020 table and then 2021 table. Right, this is the end of the third video and the whole SQL tutorial for data analysts and data scientists. I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos and you've gained enough value out of these videos. If you feel like you did, then please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm gonna see you in the next video.